Welcome to the third episode of Series 80, everyone. This month we are covering romance games, but not just romance games, specifically duo or solo play romance games. Today we are covering the solo romance TTRPG called Reincarnated as the Unlovable Villainess, and it's just full of fantastic opportunities for drama. But before we get to that, we do have some important calls to action coming up after the show. Here is what to expect. One of the folks on the One Shot Network is in need of some assistance in getting away from their Nazi sympathizer family member and has a GoFundMe to do just that safely. That is the most important and immediate need right now. Please check out the show notes if you are able to and help them out. There is also a Kickstarter for a small game from the folks over at Roleplay Retcon. And on top of that, the folks over at System Mastery have just released a new sticker book. In addition to all of that, we'll be having our normal Patreon information, as well as our patron thank yous after the show. All of this will also be in the show notes, so check it out if you are able to. With all of that out of the way, enjoy the show, everyone. Welcome to Character Creation Cast, a show where we discuss and create characters, the best part of role-playing games, with guests using their favorite systems. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan, and this month we are covering RPGs that have a romantic theme to them, but are also geared towards either duo or solo play. So this week we are stepping down the player count from 2 to 1 in order to cover the isekai romance solo RPG Reincarnated as the Unlovable Villainess. So let's go ahead and get into this, and we will start by discussing what this game is all about.
What's in a game?
Okay, so what are the core concepts of Reincarnated as the Unlovable Villainess? What's this game all about? From the game itself, it says, you are reincarnated into a fantasy otome game you love. Unfortunately, you are not the beautiful and lovely protagonist, Penelope. Rather, you are her romantic rival, the arrogant, petty, and unlovable villainess who is rude to Penelope whenever, wherever. What's worse is that you are doomed to be killed or imprisoned in every single route. How can you avoid all the bad endings? So the word otome literally translates to maiden. Otome games are often visual novels or dating sims that focus on romance and feature a female protagonist and male love interests. In this instance, you are isekai'd into this game and have to play things out as the villainess. So the player must avoid all of the bad endings in the game. Usually they refer to this as the BEs, the bad endings, that typically result in the villainess's death or imprisonment. So that's probably good to avoid. This involves managing relationships with love interests or allies, improving the villainess's reputation, and making strategic decisions to survive until the end of the game. The player starts with a negative relationship with the love interests and must work to improve these relationships while also dealing with various scenarios and potential plot twists. The ultimate goal is to survive for 30 days and potentially end up with a romantic partner or return to the original world. So what sort of setting do you play in this game? So the base game is a standard fantasy setting. The world includes various roles and backgrounds such as princesses, duchesses, mages, and swordsmen, and features elements like royal courts, masquerade balls, and potential wars with neighboring nations. There are 2 other settings that use the same rule set that come with the game. One is a paranormal setting where you play in an urban paranormal world and can be anything from a vampire or werewolf to an angel or a demon, and a whole bunch of things in between. The other setting is a wuxia setting where you can play as a number of martial arts related archetypes and situations. All 3 of those look fantastic and lean into all sorts of tropes in those genres. So it depends on what sort of setting you want to play in between the 3. What tools do you need to play this game, and what are the general rules we are working with? So aside from the standard character sheets, rules, etc., you need a few d6s and a d20. You will roll a d6 at the end of your dates to figure out how the dates went, and you will also need some d6s to figure out your bad endings that you'll need to avoid. Then the d20 helps you figure out the scenario of every day. You also resolve scenes with a d6 roll that needs to equal to or lower than your love stat or your lore stat, depending on what you use in the scene. And we'll talk more about those as we get into character creation. So what type of stories and themes is this game meant to explore? The biggest theme this game covers is redemption and transformation. This central theme revolves around the villainess trying to avoid her doomed fate by changing her behavior and her actions. Aside from that, you'll be working with romance and relationships, of course, intrigue and scandal, as well as a lot of fantasy genre elements like adventure, mystery, magic, and survival. There is also a healthy dose of conflict and rivalry. So what do characters do in this game? The biggest part of this game is building relationships with the love interests by participating in dates with them. But you also need to avoid the bad endings in order to get any sort of happy ending for your villainess. This is done by resolving scenarios and participating in events, but it requires a bit of strategy by approaching the scenes with the appropriate stat to up your chances of success. So what is unique about this game? It's effectively a high-stakes dating sim that lets you play out multiple potential endings during play. The plot twists keep you on your toes that will alter the storyline, and the game has a built-in time travel mechanic that lets you travel back in time with memories and attributes from the previous playthrough. And this adds a lot more replayability and strategy to your story. Now, for the history of this game, it hasn't been out too terribly long. It was released on itch in May of 2024 by game designer Wym Lawson. Wym also has a lot of other good-looking games out there on itch, so definitely check them out if you're interested in this one. And I thought this one was a fantastic kind of magical girl adjacent game as well, which is very exciting. So I'm excited to dive into this. I don't think there's any real big basic terms and concepts that we need to know for character creation. So let's go ahead and dive into it, and let's make some people.
Let's make some people.
Okay, so there is a few steps to go for creating a person in this game, and the relationship you have with your protagonist. So I'm going to go ahead and just go through the steps here. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and honestly, it's not a ton of stuff to put together your character in here, but there are some very interesting things out there that might be interesting to kind of explore. There's a lot of fun tables in here, so we'll see what we can do there. First up, though, The hardest thing that they have you do off the bat is step one, give your villainess a name and a general physical description. So I wonder what we're going to do here. Let's see. I need a sheet here. There we go. So let's see. I think since I'm in a very magical girl mood and don't want to think too much, the most infamous magical girl villain I can think of that a lot of people may or may not know is Queen Beryl. So I think I'm just going to go with Queen Beryl from the Sailor Moon season 1. Yeah, and she, I believe, if I remember correctly, gosh, it's been a while since I've seen season 1 of Sailor Moon. She is redhead with long red hair and a purple dress. And let me just do Google here. Queen Beryl. Yep. Wears a crown, all sorts of fun stuff there. And carries a staff. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. But I think she would make a fantastic villainess, I believe, for this exercise. So Queen Beryl, the same person effectively from Sailor Moon season 1. I don't think she makes any other appearances past season 1, which is a shame. She was a fantastic villain. All right. Choose a background. So, let's see. The options that we have here are princess, duchess, heiress, royal's ward, high priestess, or the princess's lady in waiting. So it's interesting because Princess Penelope is my rival and the protagonist. So what sort of stakes do we want here? I wonder, Queen Beryl to Princess Serenity, maybe a duchess or a high priestess. You know what? I'm gonna go high priestess because Queen Beryl has magic, and when I think priestess, I think of somebody who can do cool magic stuff. So why not? Choose a role. Oh, and here's another one. The options here are mage, herbalist, swordsman or swordswoman, huntress, rogue, or strategist. And I think I'm just gonna go roll mage. So this is a mage of sorts. And now I get to assign a number from 1 to 5 between lore and love. So these are the two stats of the game. The numbers should add up to 6 in total. So lore represents your knowledge of the world, characters, and the otome game. And love represents your passion, charm, and courtship. Now, it's very interesting to think about this because you are a real life person that gets transported into this villainess. So this is kind of a very meta stat of your real life persona's lore and your real life persona's love stats, not the stats of Queen Beryl herself. So I think, and they have to add up to 6. So if I choose 1 for lore, then my love has to be 5. And so on and so forth. So like a balance would be what, 3 and 3, or I mean 3 and 3 is probably the most balanced you can get. But I don't think I want to be balanced. I think I want 4 and 2. Yeah, I think 4 and 2. But do I want 4 lore or 4 love? Gosh, if I'm going to be thinking along the lines of Queen Beryl, I would choose 4 lore and 2 love. But if I'm along the sides of myself, it would probably be 4 love and 2 lore. Maybe I just do go 3 and 3. That would be a good way to split the difference. But then, no, I think I'm gonna go 4 lore and 2 love. I'll stick with the Queen Barrel. So lore 4, love 2. Adds up to 6. Good to go there. And now I get to choose a relationship between you and Penelope, the protagonist. So are we siblings, cousins, childhood friends, acquaintances, employer and servant, or rivals? And I think rivals makes sense here. That's a little more open-ended. And it doesn't include any familial entanglement there, which is fine in my book here. So we'll see kind of how that all works out. So then the love interests, there are 3 love interests in total. And there is love interest tables to generate these characters. So at first, they will all be fighting for Penelope, the protagonist's love. After all, they are the love interests to this otome game. However, you can charm your way through the love interests' hearts. So it's kind of, you're trying to rival Penelope by going after her love interests. So let's see what this love interest table looks like. It looks like we do need a D6 for this. So I'm going to go ahead and grab D6s here. So love interest table. There are 6 options here. I'm going to roll. I rolled a 2. So this first love interest is a merchant or a thief. Probably a merchant. And what do they have with? With an, actually, I rolled a 2. I went the wrong direction on that. They are a knight or a general. Nice. General. With, I rolled a 3, a pair of glasses. That is a tsundere. I don't know what that is. Let me look that up quick. A tsundere is a Japanese term for a character who is initially harsh, but gradually becomes warmer and friendlier. Okay, perfect. I like that. Let's see. We're making basically a sentence for this. Who is 3? Trusted. Relationship with the villainess is betrothed. This person is betrothed to me. That might be helpful. And relationship with Penelope? 2, second chance. Interesting. So probably had either a previous relationship with Penelope, or this is their second chance to get back together with them, or to get with them in the first place. Maybe they missed out the first time. Okay, that's interesting. They have a last name generator here. I don't think that's exactly for these people, but you know what? That's fine. Let me just double check up here. Okay, so that is the first love interest. I think I'm going to roll on this last name generator anyway. Just because it would be fun. So it's a D6 effectively. So the first one is a 6 and the second one is a 1. So favorite flower, and add ton as the suffix. So what is my favorite flower? Used to be lilac. That has been, I think, usurped by something else. I am a sucker for a lily, though. So Lilyton is this person's last name. So I don't know. It doesn't really have, it doesn't really have a you know what? All ladies in this one. So Ms. Lilliton, sure, that sounds good enough for now. That is love interest number 1. Love interest number 2. Okay. This one is another knight that has animal ears and tail. Nice. I'm gonna say fox ears and tail because I like that aesthetic. That is 5. Arrogant and rude. Okay. Interesting. Who is hated? Interesting. Well, I mean, that makes sense that they're arrogant and rude, so people hate them, right? Relationship with the villainess. 5. Respected. No, wait, I'm sorry. Feigning affection. Oh, that's going to throw a wrench into things. Because I believe the endings are based upon how many people you can get your heart's level up in and how high of an affection you get there. So that would be a huge slight to doing that. This would be a big challenge. And relationship with Penelope, even worse, love at first sight. Okay. Let's do a last name generator here as well. 3 and 2. So favorite animal, 2, Shire. Okay. Gosh. I mean, cats are probably way up there. Do love a good ferret though. For somebody that's rude, that people hate. Maybe ferret, Shire. Ms. Ferret Shire. Sure. Number 3. All right, back to the top. Number 3 is a merchant or a thief with a mask. That is, okay, what does this word mean? Kudere is a Japanese term for a fictional character who appears to be calm, stoic, and expressionless. They are often reserved and aloof, but have a hidden soft side, especially for a love interest. Oh, okay. So they are a merchant and thief with a mask that is a kudere, who is respected. Relationship with villainess, rivalry. This is not helpful for my case. Penelope, relationship with Penelope, childhood friends. That might be helpful for my case. I don't know. Usually childhood friends can potentially evolve into something, but less likely than love at first sight or second chance. So few things in my, let's see, childhood friends. So yeah, a few things in my corner to help me out, but a few things that are also going to hurt me something fierce. So the favorite fruit and Vil is this person's last name. Gosh, you know, I love grapes. I do love a good, I do like bananas, but I'm allergic to bananas. And Bananaville doesn't really sound, I mean, I guess it sounds fine. I'm gonna go with Grapeville, Ms. Grapeville. Okay, so we've got our 3 love interests, which is great. And let's see here. We also have a protagonist that we can do. Let me roll the protagonist. This is Penelope, I believe. So let's see. Her personality is gentle and kind. Her hobby is writing. Okay, so she's a writer. Feelings towards the villainess. 3, loving. Interesting. Feelings towards the love interest. Infatuation. Interesting. Okay. I guess that makes sense. So now, what else do we have to do in here? I believe that is everything aside from setting the hearts for each of the love interests. So there are 5 levels of hearts with the base rules. For this, there are some optional rules that expand this, but it goes from -1 hearts all the way to 10 hearts. -1 hearts is hatred, disgust, loathing. Then at the 1 heart level, you get indifferent, neutral, or uninterested. At 3 hearts, it becomes respectful, friendly, and polite. At 6 hearts, that's admiration, fondness, and warmth. And 10 hearts is love, affectionate, and infatuated. So as the villainess of this game, you start the game with a negative relationship with the love interests. So, and mechanically, that's represented by -1 hearts. So as the game progresses, the relationships between you and the love interests also progress. I think we're going to cover that a little bit in the advancement discussion. So I think we're at that point now where I can just say, okay, I've got it all taken care of for this character. I think that's it. Yeah, a -1 love interest for all these loves of mine. I have my work cut out for me. I'm just recording that on my character sheet, of which there is none. I'm just using a notepad for this. Okay, so then effectively you go on dates and stuff like that with these love interests and try to figure out how they go. And then you write about it. So there's a lot going on here. I think we'll get into that during the discussion segment. And I think that is happening right now. So let's dive into our discussion segment.
D20 for your thoughts?
So what sort of story do these character sheets tell us? There is no character sheet, but I mean, it is a smaller game. It's only a few pages long. It has some condensed tables. You only really need a D6 for most of it. There are some 20-sided tables as well, like for the plot twists and for extra scenarios, as well as there is a time travel table. So really it's telling me that things are relatively straightforward and there's not much to fully keep track of here. A lot of it is, what's your love and lore and how many hearts do you have and how is that going to be affected as you go on. So I don't think there's much else that we can go over with that question, but how do we think character creation for Reincarnated as the Unlovable Villainess stacks up to other systems that we've played or characters created? I mean, I think it's fun to kind of imagine what your character will be like in this world. What sort of villain are you going to be inhabiting? It was interesting making the love interests as well and getting those random roles in there and kind of thinking about what sort of relationship this love interest and this villainess will have with one another. And to know that there's effectively 3 different love triangles going on with potential for like a polygon, I don't know what you want to call it, thing as well, where you can get into a love interest, get multiple hearts with multiple love interests and whatnot. I don't think you can date the protagonist, Penelope, which makes sense because you're supposed to be rivals, right? Supposed to be vying for the other love interest. So I mean, really, are you the villainess still? Because you're trying to get the love interests away from the protagonist just so you can survive? Maybe that's just the whole point of the game, which is interesting. So I enjoyed it. It was quick. And it looks like it would be a fun exercise to figure out how these sorts of things work out. How would the story play out for these characters? Honestly, I have no idea. I think it would make sense that Ms. Lilyton, the first love interest, probably has the best chance with the villainess. She's trusted. She's somebody who warms up over time. And she's betrothed to me. So like there's a big potential there. And I think that would be probably the first love interest I would attempt to date. Then, of course, there is another knight or general out there who is an animal with fox ears and tail, Ms. Ferretshire. She is kind of rude and arrogant. People don't like her, but she is pretending to like me. And maybe I will read that wrong. And in all of that, she's also in love with Penelope, love at first sight. So really that's going to be a hard one. That might be kind of a heartbreaking one. Because I think my character, Queen Beryl, who's not really a queen, but you know what I mean, would probably fall for Ms. Ferretshire and might get her heart broken because she'll find out that, you know, she's not been honest. So I'm thinking that's probably the case there. And then there's Ms. Grapeville, the merchant or thief with a mask that is Kudere, who is respected. This person is a rival of mine, and they were close friends with Penelope as children. So like, I think like this is a person that I see as an equal to Penelope effectively. And maybe a challenge to woo, because I see that they're trying to woo Penelope as well. And so I think Queen Beryl would probably take that as I need to avoid Penelope getting entangled with this person because I know that they want to keep that childhood friendship going and not cross into anything else aside from that. But I also feel bad about stealing the suitors away, if that's the right term in this case, from Penelope, because Penelope seems like a nice person who is actually loving to me, to Queen Beryl. I don't know. It's an interesting web of entangled characters and feelings, and that's an interesting thing to explore in this game, I think. So we're going to keep things short, I think, this series or this episode, and let's go ahead and take things up a level.
Take it up a level.
Take it up a level.
So how does a character advance in this game? So as I was alluding to before, you have that heart system and you have to get your hearts up going through dates. And as the game progresses, the relationships between you and the love interests also progress. And when you reach 1, 3, 6, and 10 hearts for the first time in a playthrough, you will have a date event with that love interest. And after the date, you will gain a one-time reward if reaching 1, 3, and 6 hearts, and a permanent reward if you reach 10 hearts. And so the 1 hearts is the love interest sends someone or something to help you, and you roll an additional die and choose the best outcome. 3 hearts is the love interest comes to your rescue, turning the result into a success. At 6 hearts, the love interest use all resources and talents to help you turn a result into a crit success. And then 10 hearts, you get a 1d6 roll, and you can get any number of these things permanently. You can gain an additional unlisted roll that is related to the love interest. Other things, remove critical failure from the game, roll an additional die, use the best outcome. These are permanent. That's amazing. Remove an additional bad ending counter when it is a success. So there's 6 different things in there, and they're all pretty powerful sounding, it seems. And then your dates are special one-time events. When you reach 1, 3, 6, and 10 hearts, it triggers a date on the next day. And each date represents an evolution of the relationship. So that's when you learn secrets about the love interest. And then you roll the applicable date table to set the scene, and there are tables for that. And at the end, roll a d6 to determine how it went. And if your role or background is mentioned or used during the date, you add +1 to that roll, which is fantastic. There are also a bunch of different bad endings, as mentioned previously. The bad endings, you begin the game knowing all the potential bad endings for your character. So you start with 6 potential bad endings. You generate all the potential bad endings by using the bad ending table. And then you roll 2d6 for the first bad ending. I'm wondering, should we do that? I think we should. So let's see. We have 6 bad endings. There are 4 items here. So I'm going to just take 4d6 and order them. There we go. So first bad ending is, let me get to my sheet here. Bad endings. So, you are captured by the Crown because you've lied to or tricked the protagonist. Interesting. So I lied to or tricked the protagonist, so the Crown captured me. That makes sense if Penelope is a princess, right? Okay. So let's see. That's bad ending number 1. Not too shabby, at least. Bad ending number 2. You are killed by the protagonist. What? Okay, this is juicy. Because you've lied to or tricked. Wow, that's harsh. The love interest number 3, her childhood friend, Ms. Grapeville. Okay, scandalous. Okay, next, bad ending. I like these a lot. So 2, 6, 3, 2. So you are executed. Wow, by the Crown because I was tricked by love interest number 2. Feigning affection. That makes so much sense. Ms. Ferretshire. Did she set me up? Oh, that's interesting. I can see that being a storyline possibility. Yeah. Absolutely. 2, 5, 5, 6. Oh, that'll be an interesting one. Okay. Another executed by the crowd. Wow. Because you've bullied and betrayed the Crown. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. So the crowd executed me because I betrayed the Crown. Okay. 2, 3, 5, 6. This is another one towards the Crown. I'm gonna re-roll that one because I'm getting executed a lot. There we go. This one might be more interesting. Okay, so this one is I was framed by the crowd because I've angered love interest number 1. Oh, Miss Lilyton. That is the knight or general with a pair of glasses. The trusted, interesting. Why would I have anchored her? And the last one here, 1252. Let's see. This one could be interesting as well. Okay, so this is you are killed by love interest number 2, which is delightful Ms. Ferretshire, who is feigning affection for me to get close to Penelope. Because I've bullied or betrayed Ms. Ferretshire. So I think I might have pushed things a bit too far with her, or betrayed her somehow, and she turned on me and killed me. I mean, she is a knight, or a general, and is close to me and is arrogant and rude. So she might be pretty hot-headed as well at times. So those are the 6 bad endings that I have to try to avoid. So playing through the game, I would have to try to mitigate each one of these to avoid a bad ending at the end. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. And the very last thing to go over about how the game is kind of played and how you advance in the game is there are 30 days in the game, and the goal is to avoid death flags and survive until the end. If you live until day 30, you may end up with a love interest or 2 or more. And there is, it looks like 2 of my 6 bad endings, I end up not getting killed. So that's not too horrible. It's still bad, but my goodness. So, and then you roll a d20 every day and check the scenario table to determine what scene you're facing. And then you roll a prompt more than, let's see. So let's see, when you roll a prompt more than once, you read your previous entry for this prompt and roll a d6, and an even number, the story from the previous entry takes a positive turn. Not a number, it takes a negative turn. Then you resolve the scene by rolling a d6, and yeah, and then you roll your dice and compare the result with the appropriate attributes. So if you're lower than the related attribute, it's a success. So the higher your attribute, the easier it'll be to succeed. And you turn a bad ending counter down by 1 and +1 heart to a love interest, which is fantastic. You describe the event and keep in mind how your action has helped you stall your death, or how you managed to capture the heart of the love interest. So lots of interesting stuff there. If you roll a number equal to the related attribute, it's a critical success. So you turn the bad ending counter down by 2 and add +2 to any combination of love interests that you want for their hearts, and describe the best possible outcome. If you roll higher, then it's a failure. And if you roll a 6, it's a critical failure, and really bad things happen. You can lose some heart as well with love interests. So that's it. So when your bad ending, when you reach a bad ending and the counter is not at 0, you meet the same end as the villainess in the game. And the game also ends when you've successfully reached day 30. And then if you hit day 30, then there is an epilogue that you can go through depending on your heart's level with the various love interests. So that's pretty much the game in a nutshell. The really cool thing is if you do die, there are optional rules for mitigating that. So if the game does end due to a bad ending, you can travel back in time with the memories and attributes from the previous playthrough, and you roll a d6 based on the game's end date. So with the maximum rewind set to day 1. So on days 1 through 10, you rewind 2d6 days. On day 11 through 12, you rewind 3d6 days. And on day 21 through 30, you rewind 4d6 days. And then you roll a d6, and on a 6 result, one of your love interests travels with you, retaining the memories and hearts from the last playthrough. And the next time you time travel, if the D6 result is even, this love interest travels with you again, and it cannot trigger any dates that occurred in the previous game. Other love interests proceed with dates as usual. That's really interesting. So lots of potential, like, messy stuff happening in all of your stuff. There's also rules here for up to -3 hearts and up to positive 15 hearts. So really, really interesting how all of that fits together. So that is pretty much the game. I had a lot of fun examining this game, and there's a lot of interesting possibilities for some really juicy drama in this game. But it's effectively a dating sim in a, like, fantasy world, which is pretty interesting and pretty fitting for what I was kind of going for this month with the romance-centric TTRPGs. So really glad I was able to cover this. Wym Lawson, glad you made this game. So thank you all so much for joining me for the third of our duo and solo romance RPG series of episodes, where we covered Reincarnated as the Unlovable Villainess. And thank you to everyone for listening. Please join us next week for a brand new tarot-based solo romance RPG called Airship Amour by Sylvie the Dragon Games. Call to action.
Yeah, like that.
All right, I have a lot of calls to action to get through, so I don't think I'm going to spend too much time here in the banter section. I really enjoyed this game. I really liked the way that the setup for the game happened, and it looks like it would be a lot of fun to kind of play through the game and try to figure out how to save this unlovable villainess from certain doom and kind of go against her fate, which is really cool. It's a fun little mechanic, fun little game, and it would be a fun time trying to play it. But before we let you go for the day, we do have some calls to action, like I mentioned. And first up is a very serious ask for assistance if you are able. Lex Olden from the Gamewoven podcast here on the One Shot Network is needing assistance to safely and comfortably move away from their father, who recently just came out as a Nazi sympathizer. This is unacceptable, and Lex deserves to get on their feet in a safe space that is outside of their father's reach. Because of this, Lex set up a GoFundMe campaign to help them survive for the next 4 months. It's about 2/3 reaching that goal right now, maybe a little bit more since I wrote this. So any help from you will be greatly appreciated. You can easily get to that GoFundMe campaign by heading to the helplex.charactercreationcast.com link. That is HELPLEX.charactercreationcast.com, and it'll take you right there. Outside of that very important call to action, we do have a couple more, and they have to do with some fun TTRPG projects from others on the network. The folks at Roleplay Retcon are kickstarting a game called Flops, which is a game about remaking the movies that let you down by using a deck of cards and cinematic superpowers. It looks like they took their experience making their show and condensed it down into a fun game to play at home. The other fun project out right now is our friends Jef and Jon over at System Mastery Podcast have put out another fun book called the Dungeon Meister RPG Sticker Book. They teamed up with illustrator Christy Ousley to put together a book of over 500 stickers related to all sorts of RPG fun. You can check out both of these projects from the links in the show notes. Finally, if you haven't checked out our Patreon or Discord yet, now is a great time to do so. We have over 19 stickers, and at least 2 more are on the way as soon as we have a chance to get those that we would love to send to you at the $10 level. We also have some custom C3 dice, as well as personalized thank you cards at the $5 and up levels, and also bonus chit-chat episodes and more at the $1 and up level, and even bonus outtakes and other periodic information for our free patrons, including a future newsletter as soon as we can get to that. I keep saying that, and someday it might happen. You can check all of these out at patreon.com/charactercreationcast, or just join the discussion and get the latest show announcements on our Discord at discord.charactercreationcast.com. In addition to all of that, we'd like to thank our current patrons every episode. Your support truly helps out a great deal, so let's do that right now. And we do have a couple new additions to the list, which I'm very happy to see. Lieutenant, welcome back. DJG, aka Tigranosaurus, and Eric Bonds. We can't thank you enough, but we will always keep on trying. Thanks to Daryl Holiday II, Shadim Cabal, and the Shyest Barbarian. We are so glad to have you with us. Benjamin Sweeney, Rob Fletcher, Kevin Brown, thank you for your support. Thank you to Tentacle Duck, John Adamus, and A3 Sketchpad. Your support brings us so much joy. Cole McCallum, Carlos Salazar, and Eric S., thank you for your continued support as well. Thank you to Ian Potmeyer, Liam Chi, and Brian Colm. Your support brings us a lot of joy as well. Garden GM, Tanglefoot, and Blue Kryptonite, thank you all so much. We also appreciate your support, Danny, Nicole Trainer, and Liam Murray. Thank you. Kenning, Brian Kurtz, and Mark E. Fair, we are so grateful to you. And many thanks to Drew Owen, Oz, and brand new patron, James McKinley. Welcome. Thank you. And thank you to all of our future patrons. We are one step closer to financial stability with the show. Our Patreon currently doesn't quite cover our operating costs. It is so close every month between the podcast costs and the Patreon rewards. Just one more campaign level patron or 2 side quest patrons will certainly get us there for now. But if you're able to chip in even a little bit, or even just sign up for the free tier to get exclusive updates, that would mean the world to us, and we'd love to thank you in the calls to action. Plus, if we get enough and we get to that $200 a month level, we can start offering yearly subscriptions at a discount. Our community is full of some really welcoming people, and the patrons have been a huge part in making it a wonderful and safe place. So check it out at patreon.com/charactercreationcast and help us out. That's all we have for today's episode. Join us here next week or tomorrow, whenever this releases, where we'll be covering a brand new game that touts itself as a tarot-based solo steampunk airship lesbian dating sim of an RPG called Airship Amour. Until then, take care everyone, stay safe, drink some water, and keep making those amazing people. We'll see you next time. Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at CreationCast, or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Boelter, and I can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Our other host, Amelia Antrim, can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Ginger Reckoning. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permission from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero Remix by Steve Combs and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Ryan Boelter. Further information for the game systems used and today's guests can also be found in the show notes. If you'd like to support our show, find us on Patreon. Get access to bonus episodes, exclusive merch, and much more at patreon.com/charactercreationcast. Thanks for joining us. And remember, we find that the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We'll see you next time.